Hey guys, this is Musings of Maverick. I'm Maverick, and here we're going to look at Goblin Slayer episode 7. So this is a continuous viewing. I'm watching this right after episode 6, where we left off at the point where the Goblin Slayer and his party just came out of the sewers, their initial foray into the sewers, and found that, well, not found, but deduct that there was somebody else responsible for bringing in these goblins into the city. So my theory is that this will eventually tie up into the overarching theme of the Demon Lord being revived and currently leading an army and clashing with the current, the good guys, I guess you could say. Since the Demon Lord is supposed to be a big baddie and whatnot. So, anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into episode 7. So, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So you don't take baths? To Cowgirl? I'm betting the sword maiden's gonna come in, right? Okay, it's been a few months already. She's still thinking about that initial encounter. Okay. You would have been dead. I knew it. Woohoo, the bath scene! Yeah! It's such a cliche, but look, there's no guy that doesn't enjoy watching some anime boobies, okay? Okay? Anyways, I'll see you guys after the opening. Right in time for the bath scene. So is the priestess going to turn into the sword maiden? Dang. I like how they, make a bathing suit or bathhouse episode based on the premise of these two talking. Onward unto death. Okay. Are we going to get some major character death in this episode? So those things just came up overnight? And it's the next day already? To detect dangerous gases? I mean, the first thing I think of is a mining canary, but... yeah, like mining canaries. The dwarf should know, right? He's going to the source. Yeah. Wow, they weren't kidding when they said it's like an underground city. A grave. The age of the gods. And it was just 400 to 500 years ago? Wait, yeah. I thought it was like a trap. Well, alright, it's a trap. Damn, these are some smart goblins. I don't know, burn down the door or something? Wow. Active carbon filtering face masks. You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd say he's like an isekai character with, you know, modern scientific knowledge. Time magic. Hmm. So he can actually use weapons? Ooh, a new one. You know, I like how protection is a one-way spell. Hmm. Okay, so the big boss is out. A champion. Okay. So, if I remember correctly, they're platinum ranked at. I mean, they're equal to platinum ranked adventurers. Woo. Badass. Like I said, I don't really quite understand why he. Ooh, that's some nice animation. As I was saying, I don't quite understand why he needs to count. Like, if you don't know the total number, what are you counting? Woo. Ooh. Seriously, one hit. But if they really are, I mean, sorry, not porcelain, platinum, platinum. Come on! Ugh. Don't tell me they're gonna. Okay, shoot winners. Oh. No, that can't be. That can't be. Wait, what? What the hell? What? What? Just like that? Oh, I thought her entire arm was torn off. Oh. What is with his eye? Ooh. Holy sh... Yeah, he's not dead yet. Wait. Wait, what about the champion? Oh, where was the champion though? Yeah, you're in worse shape than her. What is with these dice, though? Wow. Who is that? What? Okay, that's maybe a little bit too long now. Hello? What? Wait, what? You're not. I'm not tripping, right? That was an eyeball, right? What? Holy shit, guys. What an episode. Wow. There's so much to talk about in this episode, and it went so many places that I did not expect. Like, wow. Okay. We start off this episode with, you know, a bathing scene, right? And I was just joking around saying, ah, look, they're trying to incorporate, you know, the classic bathing suit episode or bathhouse episode, you know, in the 7th episode. So it might be a more light-hearted episode, but no, they turned the intensity up to 11. Holy cow. Man. So, anyways, I had some. I went through. I went through the episode again and sort of like arranged my thoughts in the chronological order. Um, so starting from the beginning, you know, the bathhouse scene, right? The sword maiden getting in with the priestess. You know, it was sort of you know, everything else aside, you know, it was sort of interesting. You know, like one's a little girl, one's a very mature woman, right? And you can see the differences. Uh, I still don't quite understand. Like, what is the sword? Like, does she have some foresight or something? Like, why does she just say outright that you're gonna lose Goblin Slayer? Like, what is up with that? And then Priestess is like, oh, she knows what the goblins are like. But so? Don't you think? So. Anyways, this means that the Sword Maiden knows how big of a problem these these goblins are, but she's doing nothing about it, and she doesn't believe that the Goblin Slayer and his party can do anything about it either. Uh, It's so weird. Like, what is her agenda? That's my question. It's because, you know, like I mentioned before in the last episode, I don't believe that she's, you know, double crossing, you know, a double crosser, and she's actually on the side of the Demon Lord or whatnot. Because it doesn't feel like it, right? But if that was the case, then why would you willingly send adventurers to their death? Like, what sense does that make? So I'm really interested to see what her agenda is. It's like what is her problem, basically, right? So that was the beginning, and then some more lighthearted scenes. We get some interactions between the elf and Goblin Slayer. We already know that the elf has sort of like a pseudo crush on the Goblin Slayer. So yeah, are you sending a letter to your girl back home? Those kind of things. It went by fairly quickly as well. Uh, so whatever. And then he got the canary. So yeah, mining canary, detect poisonous gases, and geez, what big use it was in this episode. Um, so anyways, they go into the dungeon, or sorry, not the dungeon, but just the underground city, and then they get trapped, and poison gas is poured into their room. And oh, I made the comment there. I made a comment there that if this wasn't, if we didn't already know the backstory of Goblin Slayer, I would have felt this was an isekai story. Isekai, for those who don't know, is any setting where a main character is transported into a fantasy or a sci-fi world from original world, like a normal world. So a normal modern day person transported back into the world of Goblin Slayer. And I say this because he's using a lot of advanced medicinal techniques, or he has a lot of scientific knowledge, right? So in the past he used water pressure to essentially turn streams of water into this very high-powered, high-pressure blade, basically. And in this one, he managed to make a makeshift carbon-filtered mask, right? So you put carbon there, and then you wrap, some cloth around it and some herbs into it, and you get carbon filtering. Now, I'm not quite sure if that is how carbon filtering works. I feel like just a piece of charcoal may be a little bit too large for that, but in any case, just looking at it, I could tell that what he wanted to do was to make a carbon-filtered mask. For those of you who don't know, carbon-filtered mask is basically using pure carbon to absorb the poison and all the impurities from the air before it has a chance to get into your airway. So there was that part, and then also he demonstrated that he knew some chemistry or alchemy, so he knew what to mix together to make concrete to fill in the holes which the poisonous gases were coming from. So he shows a lot of resourcefulness. I mean, of course we knew that already, but even here, like, they're very scientifically based resourcefulness, right? It's not, it's not resourcefulness as in, he learned a lot about hunting, so when he's out in the wilderness, he knows a lot of stuff like how to spot tracks, or what kind of berries to eat, and what kind of berries are poisonous, right? This resourcefulness he's demonstrating is very scientifically based. So, anyways, we know that he's not an isekai character, so I just thought it was interesting to point that out. And okay, so then in comes the champion, right? So in the past episode, I remember Goblin Slayer talking about the champions, and he said that they were essentially platinum ranked adventurers, equal to platinum ranked adventurers. So of course, I'm not sure if he meant just the lords, or does that include the champions as well? Because if you think about it, lords should be higher than champions, right? So maybe champions are not the platinum ranked ones, and it's the lords that are. But if it was the case that lords are equivalent to platinum rank adventures, I feel like Goblin Slayer is a little bit, maybe out of character to just rush it head on. He demonstrated the same thing versus an ogre, but versus an ogre, I thought that okay, whatever. He doesn't have any experience fighting ogres, so maybe that's just due to inexperience. But as a guy who, he's called Goblin Slayer, his entire expertise is based around killing goblins. I find it hard to believe that he would just, bum rush the champion, right? And then just get taken out in one hit, which started the chain of events which led to them almost getting completely wiped out. So I don't know, or is it that he just knows of these champions and he's never actually fought them before? That's also a possibility, but I find that hard to believe. But either way, it doesn't really make sense. So one is that he never had experience before. He just knew he just knew of the existence of them. But if that's the case, then how does he know of these champions, and how did he survive for so long or slay goblins for so long without ever meeting one? And if he did meet one before and he knew their strengths and capabilities, why did he get taken out so easily, basically? So I don't know, maybe this is explained a little bit further in the light novels or manga, but here I just feel like it's sort of a contrived reason for him to get hurt and for the entire thing to fall apart, right? So, that was that part. And speaking of falling apart, like, that was a quick escalation of events. Like I mentioned before, the start of the episode was pretty lighthearted. We got some fan service, if you will, and then suddenly they're on the brink of being wiped out, and the elf girl she had her clothes ripped off and she was about to get raped. The other two, the lizard man and the dwarf, they were about to get mutilated, I guess, if past experience tells us anything. And the priestess, right, so she wet herself again, she was picked up by the champion, and he bit into her. Now, I thought this was going to be one of those, cliche anime settings where a lot of blood bursts out, but actually it's not her blood, but it's the champion's blood, because the Goblin Slayer or someone else happened to arrive at the nick of time and, cut down the champion before the champion got a chance to bite into one of the female companions. But no! They actually just directly did it. He went and chopped down hard on her. I thought initially, within the next scene, because it was kind of dark, I thought that he had bitten her entire arm off, right? So I was, like, completely shocked. I was like, they went there? So, but then in the end, we saw that it wasn't. It was just sort of like a very deep wound on her shoulder. But, man, that looked very deep. Like, if honestly, looking at that amount of blood, even if the champion did not bite off her entire arm, there definitely would have been, like, a huge chunk of her flesh that was removed. And that is going to leave something there, right? I'm not sure if that's going to be how it's going to be in this anime, but that seemed like a very deep wound, right? But like I said, I was really shocked there. I didn't quite think that they would kill her off. Like, I mean, if they did, that would be that would be sad, right? I actually really like the priestess character, but that would have been epic as well, because like, how many animes these days are willing to kill off what is essentially one of the main characters, right? Well, yeah, but they didn't go that way. I seriously thought, I mean, sorry, I only seriously thought that her arm was going to get bitten off. I didn't really think that they were going to kill her off. I felt that would have been a little bit too extreme, right? And the internet would have probably exploded if that was what happened. So, yeah, so I guess that didn't happen. But I really thought that they were going to at least show her, crippled, right? To really drive home that this is a very serious and gritty series, and it's not to be taken lightly. But, that's not what happened. So then, in the nick of time, the main character, the Goblin Slayer, awoken to something. Like, what? I don't get it. So we knew from the first episode that his eye had something special about it, right? It glows red. And so here, I thought, he was going to awaken some special ability or whatnot. So it doesn't really seem like it. It's just like, well, maybe a burst of strength or something. But we again see the dice being rolled, and a voice within his head. So later on, when he was when he gave one of the final blows, or at least a blow to the eye of the champion, we see that I feel like it seems to be going into the Goblin Slayer's red eye and all the way into, like his internals, like either inside his mind or body, whatever. And then there seemed to be like some character there, right? He was very goblin-like. But I have a feeling, my theory right now is that his body is inhibited by a god, right? A god is residing within Goblin Slayer's body. Is that true or not? I don't know. But if it is a god, then it's definitely, I don't know, like some god of mischief or something, because he definitely doesn't look like a good character, or a truly good character. More like the chaotic or neutral evil, those kinds of characters. So my theory for now is that there's some god residing within him, or at least he's blessed with the blessing of some kind of god that allowed him to, gain this burst of strength to get up and do what needed to be done before eventually collapsing. Of course he's not going to die, right? We know that much. That he's probably going to be deeply wounded. I would venture a guess and say next episode we're probably going to start with him inside the town and just getting up. Something along those lines, if, typical anime norms are to be expected. But then again, I could be wrong, and they could start the next episode directly there. That would also be interesting. And either way, I'm fine. Right? And so, and also, speaking of which, I felt it was very weird that, the champion, we actually didn't see him die. The Goblin Slayer only took out one of his eyes. He didn't actually kill the champion. I went back and looked, and the champion was last seen sort of like limping around. Maybe limping away, but this whole time when they were starting to gather their companions and starting to treat their wounds, I was thinking, where is the Goblin Champion? Are you guys sure that you finished him off? Is he going to just come out and launch another surprise attack at you or something? So at the very end, right, when there was this long outro song, and we saw that we could see the reflections of Goblin Slayer and his party, but the reflection was from an eye. I seriously thought that was the eye of another enemy. But after looking back at it, it seems that it's the eye of the canary, right? Because it showed the canary still in the cage, and then next scene, the eye took up the entire screen. So I think, and judging by the color, it's probably the eye of the canary, not the eye of some other monster or enemy. So yeah, because that whole time, I'm telling you, I was holding my breath. I was like, what is going to happen next? And then I don't want to say like they deliberately messed with us, but I feel like they deliberately messed with us, right? You could clearly see that it was an eye because it was blinking. And then we can see it silently observing Goblin Slayer and his party. And you get this epic buildup of an outro, right? It's very ominous sounding. So the entire time I was thinking, what is going to happen next? And so they kept this on for like 20 or 30 seconds. Like, at first I was like holding my breath. And then I was like, okay, come on, get on with it. And then it just ended? That biggest troll so far. Biggest troll so far. Okay. Wow, that was a mouthful. But yeah, that was an epic episode. And wow. Just wow. I'm one of the reasons why I continued watching from episode 5 all the way to here is because I want to catch up with the latest episode. So next episode is episode 8, and by then I will have catched up to the current episode. So and because I just ended on that, I feel like I need more. So we're going to get right into episode